Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the absolute worst of college football, week number 1 edition. This is going to be a reoccurring series every week. I'm going to look at some of the worst performances by certain college football teams, whether it's offense, defense, quarterback play, rushing, things like that, just kind of as a fun video every Sunday, hopefully. And I am going to address something because a few people have actually asked me, like 5 or 6 people, because I had like the ESPN college football logo in the bottom right of the screen. You guys can see I've changed it recently to the college football playoff logo. Guys, I am not affiliated with ESPN. Why would ESPN hire me? Even if ESPN offered me like a sponsorship, I would not accept it. So I am in no way affiliated with ESPN. But guys, let's get right into it. The worst of college football. The worst overall game. We all know what it was. South Dakota State at Iowa. Iowa scoring 7 points off of a field goal and 2 safeties. South Dakota State, 6 first downs, 12 penalties. Iowa had 10 first downs. Both offenses had below 170 yards. South Dakota State, 33 rushing yards. Just horrific offense. And it is funny, you guys know with FCS games, the line doesn't get released until like a day before the game or like a few hours, whatever. I saw the line and it was Iowa minus 10.5. And I was like, I tweeted it out. I was like, what is going on? How is it only Iowa minus 10.5? They're at home against an FCS team. Well, now we know why. Iowa's offense, oh my God. Let's get into this. How about this? Iowa's QB, returning QB, second-year starting quarterback, QBR 1.1. That's his QBR. 11 of 25, 109 yards, 4.4 yards average, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. Iowa's rushing, 36 carries for 57 yards, 1.6 average. And then South Dakota State's QB, 10 of 26 for 87 yards. The QB had 10 carries for a grand total of negative 21 yards. That's because they count sacks as rushing yards. So if you get sacked and you're a quarterback and you lose 7 yards, it basically counts as a 1 carry for negative 7 yards if you are an NFL fan and don't understand that. South Dakota State grand total rushing, 31 carries for 33 yards, an average of 1.1. Historically bad game. That takes the cake as the worst game for me in week 1. The runner-up, though, how about FCS Delaware beating Navy 14-7? Delaware had 13 rushing yards. They had 13 total rushing yards. They were 2 of 13 on third down, and they still won against Navy. So, wow. How about the Army-Navy game that's going to be happening? The worst passing offense. We've got some good candidates here. Worst passing offense. Utah State against Alabama. Their QBs combined for a grand total 8 of 22 for 57 yards, averaging 2.6 yards per attempt with no touchdowns and no interceptions. One of the shocking games of the weekend, Malik Cunningham in Louisville getting grounded in the Carrier Dome. 7 points. Malik Cunningham, 16 of 22, just 152 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Wow. And then we've got Morgan State, their backup quarterback, Deuce Taylor, went 0 of 6, 0 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Their QBs combined 10 of 27 for 78 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Did they face New Mexico? Morgan State is obviously an FCS team. I don't know. I think they might have faced, or no, Maine faced New Mexico. This is Maine's rushing stats. Team total, 20 carries, 22 yards, an average of 1.1 yards per carry, a long of 7 yards. So they had 20 rushes. The longest any rush gained was 7 yards. How about Murray State and their rushing attack? They had 41 total carries for 50 yards. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. How about the worst defense of the day going to Norfolk State? I mean, I guess you could also choose, honestly, North Carolina. We're going to get to that game. North Carolina allows 40 points. They won. North Carolina allows 40 points in the fourth quarter. How is that possible? We're going to get to that game, but Marshall, 33 first downs, 612 total yards, 7.5 yards per carry, 7.7 yards per pass, and then another horrible performance here, just in general. If you are an Oregon fan, I mean, you've got to feel like a used condom. And the reason I say that is because, number one, this was a sham neutral site game that was located in Atlanta, Georgia. Number two, we've got Dan Lanning and Kirby Smart basically saying after the game that Kirby Smart is going to help him, like, prepare for the rest. Like, what? He was like, he's going to help Lanning prepare for the rest of the season because obviously he was the defensive coordinator. I understand that, but that's still very weird, is it not? Am I the only one that found that really weird that he said that? You just faced this team. Shouldn't you worry about Georgia? And these Oregon fans, it's a neutral site game. It's like Dan Lanning is Kirby Smart's son. Like, that is the relationship dynamic. You're like, dude, we got to beat this team. And they lose 49-3. And honestly, the yardage wasn't as bad, 313 total yards, not great, but I mean, to score 3 points off of that is pretty crazy. I guess Bo Nix interceptions, and they allowed almost 600 yards to Stetson Bennett. That is rough. Here's the crazy game. Probably the best game, or I'd say definitely it has to be the best game. It is North Carolina 63-61 over Appalachian State. I didn't know Appalachian State's starting quarterback was the transfer kid from, I believe, Duke, Chase Bryce. Was that kid at Clemson? Did Chase Bryce play? I don't know, but you can take a look at this box score. 40-22 was the fourth quarter score. They scored 40 points in one quarter. Amazing. How about this under the radar? So now we're on to the better games. I did the worst games. This is an under-the-radar good game, and what a win this is for Rutgers. Guys, look at how evenly matched these teams were. Not great offense, but 322 total yards to 312 total yards. The first downs are very comparable. Rutgers gets a major win at Boston College. That is a horrible, horrible loss for Boston College. You have to win that week one game at home. You have to. And then we had the 3 overtime game with the sham, 2-point conversions there at the end. Houston wins 37-35 over UTSA. And UTSA actually outgained Houston. But I thought I would just shout this game out because it did go to 3 overtimes. This game, the best night game, definitely I would say, Florida and Utah. So unfortunate for Utah. Look at the final numbers on this. Utah and Florida both 25 first downs to 23, separated by 5 total yards, 451 to 446. If Utah would have scored a touchdown, they basically would have had the exact same total yards. This game was, oh my God, you know what I actually thought? I thought Utah was down by 4. Oh, that makes it even worse. They could have just, even if it was 4th down, they could kick a field goal, go to overtime. Oh my goodness. They were down by 3, and they threw an interception. Cam Rising threw an interception on 2nd and goal. Literally a heartbreaker. And guys, the domino effect this is going to cause, it is going to be an absolute SEC cesspool. It is a nightmare for the Pac-12. Absolute nightmare that Utah lost this game. Very evenly matched, very good game. What an absolute nightmare. And then we had this. I thought this was funny. For the 3rd straight year, Raymond James Stadium is still passing out South Florida's 2019 football schedule cups. Just a horrible look for the university. It's sad, guys. I tweeted out that saying it was sad. It's just, it's so low budget. It's so low budget. And then we also had, let me see if I can find this. We also had this crazy thing. Take a look at this. UCLA's crowd, record low attendance, just over 27,000. And guys, I think it's going to get worse because they have, I believe they have South Alabama and then another horrible non-conference game. UCLA and Michigan. They have the two worst non-conference schedules of any Power 5, I think. Someone can correct me on that. But I know UCLA has a horrible non-conference, and this was the opening game. It was, Bowling Green obviously is not a big draw, but South Alabama's not a big draw either, or whoever they face, so they may actually even get lower numbers. I don't know what UCLA needs to do. Obviously, it's a situation anytime, we've seen USC struggle to draw crowds, things like that. It just comes down to there's so much to do in SoCal. It's so nice out. It's not at the top of people's lists, even the student body's list, to go to a UCLA Bowling Green game. There has to be some type of energy that gets injected into these universities. And I think it starts with the expansion to the 12-team playoff and the elimination of games like this where you've got Bowling Green and UCLA. These games have to be eliminated from college football. This is how college football dies. And again, I've said it before, when we go to the 12-team playoff, teams are going to be scheduling more liberally. I actually think with the expansion of the conferences, we're going to be seeing 10-game conference schedules, 2 non-conference games, and one of the non-conference games is going to be really good. Hopefully, both of them are good. Either way, college football has to get away from this type of scheduling. It is just so bad for the sport, and it's causing record low attendance numbers. I believe this game was on the Pac-12 network. These kids are just not getting out there at all. It's so bad for marketability for the Pac-12 when it comes to recruiting. It is sad, but, I had to just shout that out as kind of one of the worst things of the weekend. UCLA, record low attendance in the Rose Bowl. I believe the game, also, it doesn't help the game starts at 11:30 a.m. What is with the start time? 11:30, just a really weird start time because it was 2:30 my time. So they're 3 hours back. It's 11:30 a.m. Odd start time, not surprising. So, guys, also another weird thing. How about Utah facing, I believe they face Southern Utah, and the game is like 1 o'clock, which is 11 a.m. So these West Coast teams are really, or these like Western teams are starting really early in the morning. Very, very odd. But guys, that is going to do it for the worst of week 1. I just go through certain things, try and find funny stats, things like that to look over. And then I'll be doing that every week. So guys, make sure you follow me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.